Another perspective I like to show is from a cognitive perspective naman. From a cognitive perspective, this is from Harmer et al. One thing BDNF can really help with is what we call our emotional biases. So if you're familiar with the analogy that depression is like a black dog, it's like it's everywhere you go, and it just when it gets really big, it just kind of it weighs down on you. Everything that comes into your mind, it comes out negative, no matter how neutral what your friends told you were. Everything that comes out is just negative. It's like a cloud hanging over your head. Parang ganyan. BDNF can be very helpful with these biases, these automatic negative thoughts, these cognitive distortions. How? They, well, reduce the biases. And they also increase the recognition of happy faces. So for instance, I could look at something as cute as this. Yan. Yeah, I could look at something as cute as this, kunwari. Look at that face. I look at that face. It's a neutral face. But with my automatic negative thoughts, with my depression, I might look at it as, ay, galit si Manchlak sa akin. Kahit hindi naman. I never bothered to ask because I have depression. But my biases already interpret neutral stimuli as negative. One way it does that is, for example, facial recognition. Everything might look more negative to you, so neutral faces look angry, for instance. So one way those biases can be reduced is improved recognition of yung happy na faces. Yan, okay? Putting all of that together, you have the BDNF stuff, you have the downregulation of presynaptic 5-HT1A receptors, you have the cognitive neuropsychological model of antidepressant mechanism of action. So here, you have the chemical action. So blocking of SERT, downregulation of presynaptic 5-HT1A receptors, then eventually downregulation of postsynaptic serotonin receptors. The dami ang delayed expression of, kasi, protein expression takes time, expression of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which can reduce affective biases, and improve learning of healthier ways of thinking, which may contribute to improved mood. Note, it's not automatic. These aren't happy pills. If, yes, your affective biases are reduced, but you still have maladaptive ways of coping, of thinking, and those still continue to persist, those may eventually take root deeper. Yan. And that's actually one place where, wait, I have to turn the other way, where psychotherapy can be useful here. So yes, you have reduced affective biases, you have improved capacity for learning, kasi you have more connections na between neurons. But if you want to facilitate the learning process, psychotherapy can act here, actually, to improve the response to antidepressants. That is likely why clinical trials have shown meds work, yes, therapy works, yes, but together, they work better than either alone. Yeah, it is through this model here. So you have the meds, and then you have the therapy. It's very clear my spatial intelligence is bad, isn't it? It's really bad. Yeah, but yeah, in short, that is your antidepressant mechanism of action. If you would like it in Pokemon format, sure, let's do it. So, let us say your Munchlax here is your SERT blocker. It blocks the SERT. It is delivering a truckload of spheals. Your spheal here is the serotonin. So what happens? The flat tire, all of the serotonin spills out. And now they are stuck in the synaptic cleft. And now what do? They're going to bind to the receptor. So they bind to the presynaptic ones, downregulate them. Downregulation of the preno, the brakes. No brakes, increase serotonin. Plus improvement of passive stress tolerance. And then more serotonin. Then they bind now to the postsynaptic serotonin receptors. Those will downregulate. And eventually, what happens? The signal cascade start, right? So they bind. And you have your conformational changes. Adenylyl cyclase here converts your ATP to CAMP. So that's the Ditto is your adenylyl cyclase. The Haunter is the ATP. The Gengar is the CAMP. The Gengar, the CAMP, the CAMP, will then wake up protein kinase, the Dragapult. So Dragapult, the protein kinase, is like woken. Oh, okay, it's time. Okay, and now I launch my DRPs. My DRPs are the phosphate groups. The phosphate groups will then wake up Kreb, the Krabbies. Right? So the transcription factors in the DNA, the deoxys. So Krabbies would be the Kreb. Kreb would be like, hey, DNA, make more BDNF. Yeah. Yan. BDNF. Like, hey, lots of BDNF now. That's your sandials. Yes. So BDNF released, and a receptor on the same neuron, the TRKB, represented by the LOTAD. So you have the LOTAD, and it starts another cascade, AKT, mTOR, and synaptogenesis. Yan. Okay, that's the mechanism of action of antidepressants. See, nowhere did I mention na kulang si serotonin. Nowhere did I mention that there was a chemical imbalance. It's possible to explain the MOA without using any of those inaccurate, wrong, egregiously horrendous terms. Okay, if you use them for coping, I will not judge you. Fine, you can use them to cope personally, but please do not teach it as fact. It's completely wrong, right? But antidepressants, they're, the title of this is so-called antidepressants. They technically work for more than depression. So what happens if they downregulate serotonin receptors in other brain areas like the hippocampus, right? That can actually lead to decreased anxiety. That's why antidepressants are first line for anxiety disorders. Or what if it's not here, but I haven't really confirmed it, there is a hypothesis that 5-HT1F receptors in the orbitofrontal cortex are responsible for OCD symptoms. So downregulation of that can improve OCD symptoms, because OCD is not an anxiety disorder. It is an impulse control disorder. Or what about neurotransmission, particularly for neuropathic pain syndromes? So less of serotonin, more of norepinephrine, actually. That's why SSRIs are not used for neuropathic pain, but it is the SNRIs, the ones that block norepinephrine reuptake, because norepinephrine is not mainly, it's one of the main neurotransmitters involved in pain transmission, that is involved in neuropathic pain pathophysiology. That's why you will see norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors in migraine prophylaxis, in diabetic neuropathy, conditions like that. Yan, okay?